Hey, this is Tuan Aditya from Lighthaven. Today we are going to talk about structure, body position, and one of the biggest mistakes that I feel Filipino martial artists make. Before we begin though, it would mean a lot if you would subscribe to the channel. If you like this video at the end, if you learned something from it, then please do like and share the video. If you have anything to add to the conversation, please do comment down below. All of these things really do help the channel and the school out a lot. So let's start with your body position and structure. For the sake of simplicity, we're going to stick to these positions and these structures in relation to a fixed center line. Just makes it easier to explain these concepts. Also, for the sake of simplicity, we're going to divide them into three major ways that you can position your body. The first is blading your body with your right leg in front. The second is being square to center line. That can be with your right leg in front or your left leg in front. And the third will be blading your body with your left leg in front. Now it's important to remember there are many other ways of positioning yourself in relation to center line, but for the sake of simplicity we're going to stick to these three. These are also positions that are very fluid. You shouldn't be thinking about only occupying one of these. The point is to be able to move from one position to the next fluidly, depending on the context and what it is that you're trying to do. So let's begin with our square sort of position, where my hips are facing center line. Now this can be again with your left leg forward, it can be with your right leg forward. This is generally most often used when you're using two weapons of the same length. So if I'm using double stick, if I'm using double knife, or if I'm even empty hand, oftentimes I will want my hips to be square simply because I have equal reach with both hands. That means I have equal opportunity to do whatever I want with the right hand, whatever I want with the left hand, and I can interchange the functions of the weapons as I want to. The next position we're going to be looking at is our bladed position with our right leg in front. Now when I am in this position, I want to only show one side of my body where my other side of the body is away from my opponent's weapon's reach. If my hips are square and I'm facing my opponent sort of like this, then the entire body becomes a target. Everything you see is a target. But if I am bladed, then only the front side of my body becomes a target, and the back side is a little bit further away and harder for my opponent to reach. We often use either of the bladed positions when we're using a single weapon or we're using weapons of unequal length, like a stick and a knife, or a sword and a knife, or a single sword, single knife, some sort of weapon combination like that. Thinking of it as right leg and left leg may not be the best way to do it. A better way would be weapon hand side bladed or weapon hand in front versus weapon hand at the back. That might be a better way of thinking of these bladed positions. When my weapon hand is in front, if I'm using a knife or a sword or a stick, my weapon hand is going to have greater reach than this hand. I am not thinking of using this hand to extend too much. It's generally going to stay close to me. I'm going to use it to parry. Maybe if something comes towards me, I'm going to use it to grab, but it's not going to really extend so much. This is the hand that does most of the extending. This hand does most of the extending. This hand does most of the close work to my body. So if something's coming towards me, I'm using it to parry, I'm using it to grab something that's coming towards me, whereas this hand is doing most of the extension. Another way of thinking about what your backhand will do when your weapon hand is in front is when we're using something like Spadai Daga, where you have two weapons of unequal length, where the backhand starts to become sort of this filler hand. It's an insert hand. It becomes whenever my main major long weapon is not covering center line or not covering me from in front, that's when that backhand sort of inserts itself to make sure that my opponent cannot get the initiative. So maybe I slash down here and now there's nothing really covering me here, and it'll take a microsecond for me to come back. So that can be the time when I insert this. Or if I'm chambering back here, it's going to be a second when I'm open. That's when this hand can insert and fill that empty space. So that's another way of thinking of what your backhand can do when your weapon hand is in front. Now again, these are not meant to be static positions. Just because I've chosen this sort of lead with this sort of side to blade my body with doesn't mean I'm going to stick to this the entire time. The next position is with a weapon hand at the back. Now this could be because maybe I have a knife, or maybe whoever my opponent is trying to take my weapon away from me. So my front hand is being used to pin, to parry, to keep his hands off of my weapon. Maybe it's being used to hold, while my weapon hand fills in the gaps. So I'm trying to keep my weapon safe at the back because my weapon side is further back, and I'm using my front hand to maybe keep my opponent from grabbing my weapon side. You'll often see this training being given to law enforcement personnel, where they're taught to keep their weapon side further away from whoever is the suspect that they're trying to apprehend, just so it makes it harder for someone else to take your weapon from you. At a slightly more advanced level, I've also seen this used in a stick fighting or sparring context, where someone will keep the non-weapon side in front and exposed as sort of bait to their opponent. They want them to hit them over here, and they're waiting for that attack to come, and as it comes, they're looking to switch and use that opening as their entry. The other advantage of having this non-weapon leg in front is that it gives me a lot more, when I step in with that strike, it gives me a lot more power generation. The strike has a lot more space to gather momentum, and I'm able to push off my back leg as I step forward and just deliver all of that momentum into my strike. So that's another way that people use this non-weapon lead. Now that we've gone over the three basic positions, let's go over one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of people making, and that is just getting stuck in what they think they should be looking like. At least in Pikiti, my understanding is that every single thing is there for a reason. Now, you can break these reasons up into one of two. Either something is functional, so what I mean by that is that the way you're training is more or less the way that you're going to be fighting, or it's something that is there to build attributes. So you're not necessarily going to fight in that same exact way, but some of the things that you're learning through those movements are going to translate either into power generation or balance or speed or some sort of attribute building or technique. It's important to identify what it is that you're doing at that moment of time, especially in your own practice. When you are working on attribute building exercise or drill, it helps to sit down and try and identify what exactly it is that you are working on. Now, this can evolve or grow as your skill and understanding grows, but whatever skill or understanding you have at that point of time, it's important to sit down and try and identify what you're working on. And also helps to try and then sit and see if you can change or if you can adapt this drill to make it more functional, to make it more combative, and what you need in order to make that adaptation. Too often I see people who feel they're supposed to move in a certain way, to have sort of a particular style to their movement, whether it's in the stances that they use or the structure or the way they're supposed to look, and they're more fixated by that than what it is that they're actually doing. Generally, I find people who stick fight or spar more are not prone to these mistakes because they understand very quickly what works, what doesn't work, and they are much more self-reflective. It's generally if you haven't fought or haven't sparred with a weapon, when you start to sort of get caught up in these myths of how you're supposed to move or what a style is supposed to look like, it's really important to stay away from that. And I went over the body positions today because even though you have these three positions, there are lots and lots and lots of other ways of looking at body positions. For example, there are certain ways you can position your body where your left leg will be in front, but your right shoulder, right arm will be closer to the target. For example, if I'm sidestepping or if I'm doing my open triangle footwork. This is meant to act almost as a springboard for you to dive into the exploration of different positions and different structures in your art. Think about why you're doing something. If you do not understand why you're doing it, then please go and talk to whoever it is that you're training with or teaching. If they also don't have an answer that may satisfy you, then go and do research. There's so much information out on the internet. Anything you want to find is out there. There are so many Tuhans right now in the world. Get in touch with any of us. We're always happy to help you. But don't just do something because you think that's the way it's supposed to look. Everything has a reason for being in the art. Explore, practice, figure out which positions are best for what kind of weapons, for what kind of movements. When you want to be in a bladed position, when you want to be in a square position, when are you in a sort of sidestep position, where should my weight be in those sort of stances? Do I want my weight to be back? What happens if my weight is back? What happens if I'm leaning in front? What happens if my hip is facing this way? What happens when I'm in these positions? Explore them, understand them, adapt them, play with them, spar with them, flow with them. That is the way you're going to increase your understanding and skill in whichever art it is that you are doing. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, if you learned from what you saw, please do like and share this video. Please do subscribe to the channel. Please, if you have anything to add to the conversation, or if you have any requests for future videos, please do comment down below. Like I said earlier, all of these things help out the school and the channel a lot. See you guys in the next video.